It's Levack and Goz on 104.5 The Team.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm jealous already. I just heard the voicemail. We are joined by, most people lovingly know you as the 30 for 30 guy. Dakil Hasif joins us right now on Levack and Goz. First of all, thank you so much for being a cool sport about it and doing the voicemail.
Peace. Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure.
All right, so I'm going to play it for everybody just because we've been doing so all week since you agreed to come on. We've been like taking in tweets like if you could have the legitimate 30 for 30 voice do your voicemail, what would it be? And this was the winner.
What if I told you a man with a dream is always busy grinding to achieve it? This is Jeff's voicemail. Please leave a message.
I'm so jealous. That's awesome. How many times a day do people come up to you and go, what if I told you?
Not well, around the office, probably, it happens 2 or 3 times a week. But, I mainly worked as a commercial film editor. And so that was sort of my unconventional route to doing voiceover work. In fact, Michael Hage and Galen Bernard of 77 Ventures, I worked with Michael many years ago. And, I was a big fan of Bill Simmons and was listening to the podcast and hearing about the 30 for 30 series, just waiting for it. And then, Michael brings this to my attention. And he's like, hey, we're getting ready to, ESPN asked us to do the commercials for this. Do you want to edit it? And I'm like, I would have done it for free, much less, get paid handsomely to cut it. So, the very first anthem and the first couple of topical spots we cut together. And initially, they had some big name that they were going to put in there as the VO talent. But once when they realized how much work it was going to be, initially it was 30 films, but, it was the 30, the 15, the 60, the radio. They were like, we're not going to be able to get a celebrity to go in there. So they were like, well, they knew I did VO work. So they're like, let's get Dakil in there. And I do remember the executive at ESPN at the time when they were pitching it, I was on the phone and we were getting comments on the cuts, but they were pitching me. And they were like, just don't say that you're in the room. Just be quiet, and we're going to pitch this and see how it goes. And, the woman said, yeah, he sounds like he could be somebody. So we had a good laugh, and ever since then, it's been an amazing gig.
So did you ever believe it would hit almost the cult following with sports fans that, oh, you haven't seen this 30 for 30. Have you seen this one? Have you seen that one? Did you believe it would get this popular?
As soon as I saw the first films, before they were released, because I had edited, I was like, oh, I think the first thing I saw was King's Ransom, the Gretzky one. And I was just like, God, this is really going to take off. But what was surprising to me was I didn't realize how much resonance the commercials would have with people. So, at first it was my friends, and they were like, dude, this is really amazing, But it wasn't until I started seeing some, I guess a couple of the spots went up online and, people were commenting on the stories, but then they were also saying oh, that guy's voice and just the music, the chills that I get listening. As soon as the chords of the music start playing, I start tuning in. Then I became aware of wow, okay, this, we have something going on here.
Dakil Hasif joining us right now, lovingly known as the 30 for 30 guy, and we were thrilled that you were available to come on, and then that you're a good sport about it all. I just assumed that with that voice and with how much we've all recognized you, that you're just busy all the time right now doing voice stuff. Like what other stuff are you working on?
Let's see, what did I do most recently? Rush Card. What did I do this year? Rush Card. I have an issue, which is not really an issue for me, but I like it. But some people might find an issue. I stay very present in the moment. So even the things that I edit, I have to look back and be like, oh, yeah, I did that. I did Sister Schubert's this year, Rush Card. Dang, I'm sorry. I actually
no, it's cool.
A running list of things, but
I don't remember anything either. That's why I have Goz.
Dakil's a very busy man, and he working on all these things because he's a Syracuse guy.
Oh, here
Upstate
we go.
New York, 2 hours
let
west of us.
Let me do my best. What if I told you that Goz is a Cuse homer?
I'm a born and bred Syracuse guy, an Orange fan. Tell us a little bit about your time attending Syracuse University.
Listen, Syracuse was a blast for me. I got there in '94. I graduated in '98. I went to the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, where I majored in television, radio, and film production. And, interestingly enough, I never thought about doing voiceovers or being a VO guy. I'm a filmmaker by trade. Learned the craft of editing there. I really learned the craft of everything that I do that feeds my family. I learned at Syracuse through Newhouse and through their wonderful teachers, and just like that great experience being there. But I got a lot of radio experience being over at WJPZ, where I had a hip hop radio show, and I think I was at WERW for a few years, which is sort of their on campus station, just making a lot of mistakes at 2:00 in the morning, and nobody really hearing it.
See, I make mine now.
Yeah. But I do remember, I think it was the last year I was there, Syracuse, Newhouse had started their own in network, going through Newhouse television station, and I was the first voice for them. So it was at that point I was like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. And then just my first job out of school, I was, just shipping packages for a post house and, watching the other editors and assistants do some work. And they would be like, hey, come jump on this. So I think the first thing I landed was like a Coke commercial for Rush Media back in the day. So, Syracuse was great. And, I'm telling you, like my time there, I learned so much about my craft. I learned so much about myself. And it probably wasn't until maybe like 4 years ago when I went back that I took it all in and realized, like, wow, this is a beautiful campus, and like everything that I'm doing, I learned here.
One of the 30 for 30s focused on Syracuse basketball, and that was Requiem for the Big East. Is that your favorite 30 for 30, or do you have another favorite?
Oh, man, that was a good one. It's hard to have a favorite when there's so many amazing ones. I think, probably one of the most unique experiences I had was working on Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks, because I'm a huge Knicks fan, and, I just had a lifelong hatred of Reggie Miller. And that film kind of made me like him a little bit, which I didn't like, but then I also kind of had some free moments where he had that, 6 or 7 points in 15 seconds barrage. Like, it was my freshman year of Syracuse. I came back to the dorm a couple of days early. We must have had some long break because I just wanted to watch the game, playoffs. This is going to be great. And I remember, we were up. I was like, okay, this is a wrap. Let me go downstairs. And I went straight into my ID for a vacuum so I could just go, fix my, clean up my room. And when I got back upstairs, suddenly, Starks was bricking free throws. The garden was quiet. Everybody, was silent. Reggie Miller was going off. And then there was nobody in the dorm that I could ask what happened. Well, this is before cell phones. So then I'm calling home, calling to my parents, like, what's going on? My father won't answer the phone. He's so distraught. That film caused me such weird anxiety because I was like reliving it. And then I had a whole other embarrassing, situation where I got an invite to the screening premiere of it. I think it was at the Ziegfeld Theater in New York City, and it was like, here's Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason and John. Here's my heroes,
Right.
And I'm just having fits the entire time watching it again. I was like, why is this bothering me so much? But, that's the power of filmmaking, right? Like, you can move people. And so that was a great film. But there's just been so many. I mean, even, I think it was called was it The Birth of Big Sky? Or the one about the guy who was, trying to set a skydiving record, like decades ago. And it's just their ability to delve into the subject matter, pull up all this archival footage and weave these stories. The Two Escobars is another, huge favorite of mine. There's too many to name.
Tequila Asif joining us right now. He's the voice of the 30 for 30s. He's the What If I Told You. I hear your voice, and I assume that you get recognized quite a bit when you're talking. Like, do you use it for anything cool? Like, if I was you, I would be like, what if I told you I need a sausage and pepperoni pizza delivered ASAP?
No, actually, I try not to, just because sometimes here's what happens, right? Like, you remember the first time you hear your voice recorded.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's what I sound like? That's not what I sound like, right? So what happens for me is as an editor, you know, in any post house, there's usually like 2 or 3 men or women who have, you know, quote unquote, a great voice. And so you're always doing scratch demos all the time, right? And it's great because this is how I get a lot of work. You know, clients this little demo love, they're like, oh, let's use him. But you hear yourself so often, sometimes even when I'm editing my own stuff, just as a scratch for whoever's going to do the job, I start to tune myself out, right? So even when I do a VO, and it happens quite a few times in my house where if it's something I edited, I'll just be watching the edit. And my son will just look at me like, okay, so we're not going to just talk about the fact that your voice was on that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even hear myself. Or even if it was something I didn't edit, sometimes it's a little strange because it seems so foreign at times. But it's mostly just because I learned to tune myself out. So I really kind of have no ego about it. Maybe I should, like, pump it up a little bit more and use it. What gets really amusing is I have quite a few friends who just, like, keep ESPN on a loop. They just keep it on all day long. And so a friend of mine once fell asleep, and then, you know, the 30 for 30 commercial came on, and he's in his dream, and he's like, Doc Hill, I'm talking to you. And you're like, what if I told you? I'm like, told me what? You know. And I say the next one, like, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, and he calls me. He's like, hey, get out of my dream. Like,
that is,
you're the one going to sleep with the television on. Why is that on me?
well, that's what, like, every day at some point in the office, one of us will say to the other one, hey, what? And then we stop, and then we do, what if I told you? Like, you're iconic now, man.
Thanks. You know what? It's really humbling. A lot of times people are like, oh, you do such an amazing job, but I'm telling you, like, I'm only as good as the stuff that is written. And as great as the 30 for 30, you know, films are, you know, the commercial work that, you know, Michael Hage and Galen Bernard and now the good folks up at Bristol who are handling a lot of that. Every week they come in and I'm just like, I read the stuff. I did a record this morning for, what is it? It's the one coming out. It's, oh yeah, it's the one about the Notre
Catholics versus convicts.
I'm sorry?
Catholics versus convicts, the Notre Dame Miami one? Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
that's awesome.
Catholics versus convicts. I just read that today, and I'm like, I'm intrigued, you know, and I'm reading it, but I'm also like, oh, I can't wait till this comes out. Like, when does this drop? Okay, cool. I got to be sure to tune in. So, you know, as much as it's, you know, nice to be a part of it, it's also great to just still be a fan of the work being done.
Tequila Steve joins us, man. He is you're very cool. We appreciate you, and I don't be surprised if we hit you up in the future to talk about the new 30 for 30s, or, you know, hey, maybe we come up with a good idea for our voicemails.
Hey, no problem. Just let me know.
Take care. Go Orange.
Goz,
Go Orange.
you heard him say it. He's going to do our voicemails.
We'll talk to him again soon. We'll be talking to him. And make sure to catch out Tequila 30 for 30. The newest one debuts immediately following the Heisman Trophy, Saturday, December 10th. It's Catholics versus convicts. Thank you so much, man.
Look at him shilling for you, man. He's got you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for making time, man. We love you, brother.
Peace.
What if I told you he was going to be awesome?
Yeah, that was very cool stuff there. Very good stuff. Again, make sure to check out that 30 for 30 coming out. And if you haven't watched the 30 for 30s, what planet have you been on? Check out all of his work there. He was very cool. And shout out again to our guy, Deuce Watson, on Twitter.
I was going to say, if you want to hear him again, you can just call Deuce.
What if I told you a man with a dream is always busy grinding to achieve it? This is Jeff's voicemail. Please leave a message.
I love it, man. Congrats, dude. That's awesome.